Hello, friends. My name is Jason, partner with the Chart Guys. I want to show you a little bit of information about how we can sometimes use market internals to give us a little bit of a clue, and how we use that information to make two very successful trades on QQQ and Amazon yesterday, July 7th. So what I'm going to do is walk through the setups as we saw them on SPY, on QQQ. I'm going to discuss the market internals very briefly, and then I'm going to talk about how we made a trade based on that information. So to start things off, we're going to look at SPY on the 2-minute time frame. Again, this is using the chart replay feature. So this is yesterday, July 7th chart. And we're finishing off the last candlestick at 11:32. So we've had our morning flush. We hit our low of day 431.51, and we're in a steady 2-minute uptrend heading to the upside. So it looks like a good recovery. Our only resistance is 433.84, and that isn't too far away. So far, bulls are in nice control with pretty much a double top to look at for an area resistance. In fact, I believe that is a double top at 433.84. So bulls very well established. Now this chart looks really dissimilar to QQQ at exactly the same time. Here we see we have a 5-minute equilibrium. Now 5-minute and 2-minute and really any equilibrium is really an effective setup because it gives you clearly defined areas of support and resistance. It's one of my favorite types of plays. When we have a move in one direction, we run out of steam, and an equilibrium is established when you have a perfect balance between bulls and bears and you get this tightening range. They're nice because they give us clearly defined levels that we can use to indicate when this pattern, this psychological pattern of behavior, deviates, that being meaning it changes. So we get a bull break over, say, 360.27. That means the equilibrium has been lost, and the winner of this battle is to the upside, and the bulls take over. So SPY, 2-minute time frame to the upside, QQQ in a 5-minute equilibrium that can really break in either direction. Now, when we're trying to make a trade decision using just SPY or just QQQ, sometimes it's not enough information. This is where the market internals came into play on this particular setup. And what we're going to do now is take a look at market internals for the NASDAQ and for the New York Stock Exchange. The NASDAQ is going to be closely related to the QQQ, where the New York Stock Exchange internals are going to be more closely reflective of what's happening with SPY. So before we jump into market internals, if you're interested in learning more about them, there is a little bit of information out there. I will summarize very briefly. So I am by no means an expert on market internals. I just like to use them. And I think they're really cool in situations like this, where they can be one of the only leading indicators that we can actually utilize to our advantage. So let's take a quick baby primer on market internals. This is the market internal setup that I use for the NASDAQ. What we're looking at here is volume. So this chart tells us, as compared to yesterday, how many tickers are trading bear volume, how many tickers are trading with bull volume with respect to yesterday. And this zero line is yesterday's close, so the collective total of tickers is trading to the downside. And that is reflected well in our advancers decliners. What this does is, again, uses the zero line for reference and says of the collective total on this exchange, how many of the collective total tickers are trading above yesterday's close or below yesterday's close. We started the day off strong, so we had a little bit of a gap up. So we started strong, but we faded pretty quickly. Now the next panel we're going to look at is tick. Tick is just like an instantaneous read. How many tickers are buying, how many tickers are selling, and it just gives you a reading with respect to zero. Extreme readings are above or below 600, and they're relatively rare. This is a really quick primer, okay? So there's far more information out there about the market internals, and I encourage you to go look at it and investigate and learn. It's a continual process. Everything with charts, we're always learning. Now let's take a look at the New York Stock Exchange side of things. Can't quite get the chart replay to work, but for reference, all the other charts stop here at 11:34. For our volume, we can see that we had a strong-ish start right around zero, faded for most of the day, and then we saw a little bit of a push back to the upside. Very similar with our advancers decliners chart. We had a push up, we faded down, and we started to push back up over here. Tick started to hover above zero, as we saw with our QQQ or our NASDAQ doing relatively the same thing. Now what I'm going to do now is compare our volume and our advancers decliners side by side, because I want to show you how similar these charts were. All right, so now we're looking at our New York Stock Exchange data on the left, NASDAQ data on the right. Up here we have up volume and down volume for both sides. I will say that the NASDAQ side of things never really seems to be that accurate, especially when I compare it to data in other platforms for this particular data set. And down here we have advancers and decliners for our New York, and for our NASDAQ. So the first thing that jumps out to you should be the fact that these are very, very similar looking charts for the most part. Our morning pop, our fade, our low at 1046, and over here our low at 1046. Pretty similar. That's the first thing that I noticed. I'm looking at QQQ on the 5-minute time frame. I'm saying, all right, we have a 5-minute EQ. This really can go either way. We know SPY is strong. SPY is getting really, really close to this 433.84 area resistance. So I'm wondering, why is QQQ being held down here when SPY is really good and our chart for our internals is suggestive that QQQ should be following SPY? So with that said, we take a trade on QQQ and we say, look, if we break 360.27, the market internals suggest to me that QQQ is lagging behind and theoretically should have enough internal momentum and structure to see upside potential from here. So that's our bet. We place a trade to buy on a break of 360.27. So let's go and see what happens here on QQQ in the 2-minute time frame. Actually, before we do that, why don't we go look at SPY and see what happens? Because 433.84 is a key level on the 2 and 5-minute time frame. That's a double top. If we don't break that, we're going to get into a little bit of trouble. So let's take a look and see what happens here. Finally, we break our area of resistance and we pile it on, back test, and continue to the upside. So that is a good vote of confidence. If we're looking for that and it pre-breaks, so I should say if it breaks before the QQQ equilibrium breaks, that adds even more emphasis to the upside possibility. So our break occurred here at 11:40. Let's go look at QQQ. Right now it is 11:32. We have a few minutes left. 2-minute time frame. We move, we move, we move, getting very close to our break. Here's 11:40. So if we are trading QQQ, we're getting ready for that break. We're paying attention to SPY at the same time, and we're watching those market internals. Internals, again, are telling us that the QQQ 5-minute equilibrium is more likely to break bullish than it is bearish. And at the same time, SPY's bulls just broke a key area of resistance and set a new high of day. So with all of that in mind, we look at QQQ and we say, you know, everything is pointing to the upside. I think a break of 360.27 is going to be good for the bulls. We just set another higher low. Let's see what happens. Big bull break, big volume coming in, and bulls just go. Tiny little breaks here and there, of course, normal consolidation, but an absolutely beautiful move to the upside on QQQ. And if you're looking for a quick day trade, that's a pretty substantial day trade, especially if you're using options or some more advanced trading techniques. The only real resistance is 361.86. So a lot of potential and a very, very good and effective trade. But that is not where it ends. Because at the same time, we are looking for QQQ to break bull, and we're looking for confidence in the index itself or the ETF. We also have things like Amazon, who at the same time, here is our chart at 11:32. We're looking for a similar bull break. So let's go back to QQQ. We're going to jump back to 11:32, right where we hit the low prior to the breakout. And if we are not interested in trading QQQ, perhaps we're looking at trading Amazon. So Amazon makes up a large part of the QQQ ETF. And if we're looking at this, we also have a nice little setup. We've got ourselves a descending wedge, which is a pattern that generally breaks bullish. What it does is it tells us the price is compressing and we're getting a tightening range. And we can go over here and tighten this up a little bit. There we go. We have confirmed area resistance. We don't have a confirmed area support, but it looks pretty good. So if we're looking for a wedge breakout in this play, we have a couple of things we're going to look for, right? We're also going to keep an eye on internals. We know what we see. It's the same thing we just reviewed. Strong market internals, reflective of an upside push being more favorable or more likely than a downside push. And especially when we combine the fact that we have an Amazon 2-minute generally bullish breakout pattern with a clear area resistance on the 2-minute time frame, we expect upside. So if we place our bets on a bull break, the conservative entry is a bull break over 360, over 3,698.56. An aggressive entry would be a new low just under 3,681. But I took that conservative entry on this guy. We wait to see what happens. We know that, what time did our QQQ break? Or what time did our SPY break? That 1140 level. So let's go back to our Amazon. We're now at 1138. And then we get that SPY confidence, SPY break, and we just go. So a beautiful breakout, good volume on Amazon, another quick day trade. And Amazon's been on a real tear anyway. So nice to see that beautiful setup follow through. I know we faded out a little bit over the rest of the day, but a beautiful day trade example of using market internals on both QQQ and Amazon. So I hope this video was a little bit useful for you to understand how you can utilize market internals, especially when you have something as obvious. And it's not always that obvious, but this was just a really good example of an obvious disparity between market internals structure and price action, resulting in effective day trade setups. So if that was helpful for you, want to learn more about market internals, please let me know. Ask a question in the comment. And I hope to hear from you soon. Thanks for watching and have a good day.